thanks for joining us for our monthly Brainwise Wednesdays here in the clinics. The purpose of doing these sessions is just to really give some brain health education and to support the community. We're very blessed to have one of our licensed trainers from the university join us today, Tina Duffy, who is a health coach, and she's the founder of Dynamic Solutions for Life, which has been working in the health and wellness industry for the last 20 years, as well as having her own fitness company, Springer Fitness. She's been on the board of governors for the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Scottsdale. She's been on the board of directors of Children's Cancer Network, Make-A-Wish Circle in San Diego. She's done the Institute of Integrative Nutrition course, as well as Dr. Amon's Brain Health License Trainer course. So we're very blessed that she's here today to help us. She's going to do a short talk, maybe 30-35 minutes, then we'll have some Q&A, and then we can share what you guys do in the community as well to support your patients as well. So without further ado, I introduce Tina Duffy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. I'm honored to be speaking here, and thanks to Melvin for asking me to be a part of this. I first want to start out, before I share anything today, I want to start out with a 4-7-8 breathing, because I know we've all been running around today or on the phone or on our computer, and I want everyone to come together and relax. So what I want you to do is I want all of you to close your eyes, and we're going to do 4 parts of this. So we're going to start out with, we're going to inhale for the count of 4, we're going to hold for the count of 7, and exhale for the count of 8. And I will guide you through it. When you inhale, I want you to push your stomach out. And when you exhale, you're going to bring your stomach in. So we're going to start. Okay, inhale for the count of 4, and inhale through your nose. Hold for 7. And exhale through your mouth for the count of 8. And we're going to do it again. Inhale through your nose for the count of 4. Hold for the count of 7. And exhale through your mouth for the count of 8, letting your stomach come out again. 2 more times. Inhale through your nose for the count of 4. Hold for the count of 7. And exhale through your mouth, letting your stomach out for the count of 8. And last one. Hold for the count of 7. And exhale for the count of 8. And slowly open your eyes. And that's something, it was done by Dr. Andrew Weil, who I'm sure a lot of you have heard. It's the 4-7-8 breathing. It's something you can do anytime during your day when you're stressed. I know I've had clients say when they're in the middle of getting ready to have an argument with their husband, they will do this, and it really helps. So think about that. It's something you can take everywhere, and something you can do. It's great to do 4 times a day. And it can really change so many things in your life. It can lower your blood pressure, help with cognitive function, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So what is a health coach? I'm sure some of you know and some of you are wondering. So a health coach is a trusted advisor to you in every capacity of your lives, who keeps you on track, accountable, supports, guides, and perhaps most importantly, stretches you to reach your true potential. I want to transfer all of you from consumers of information to users of information. So that's what I do. Why are all of you here today? Because I know I'm going to be speaking on the effects of sugar on the brain. But what brings some of you in here today? I'd like to hear from a couple of you. Does anyone want to tell me why they're here? To hear about sugar on the brain. Carol?
Yeah, well, which Bo didn't come. I'm just getting concerned about his memory, so I want to see it, and also the cancer, so to eliminate sugar, I understand. And for me too.
And Carol's also done one of my sugar programs too, so thank you for being here today. Yes, and thank you for being interested in the effects of sugar on the brain. So today I want to start off with just an overview of sugar and the brain, and then I'm going to go into much more detail. So please stop me. I know we have a Q&A at the end, but if anyone has any questions while I'm sharing today, please let me know. So the immediate effects of sugar on the brain could be energy boost or mood enhancement. Sugar provides a quick source of energy to all of us when it is consumed. It leads to a rapid increase in blood glucose levels, which can enhance alertness and our energy temporarily. So temporarily is an important word to remember here. Mood enhancement. Sugar stimulates the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter which is associated with pleasure and reward. This can lead to a temporary mood boost. Now, I know for me, I want to share a lot of examples today that I hope you can relate to. But for me, I know years ago, I worked in an office, and I remember around 3 o'clock was when I felt my sugar level dropping. It made me tired, and it also made me hungry. And hungry for what? Hungry for anything that was around me in my office at the time. So I think it's important. That is a usual time of day, midday, when our sugar levels can drop, and I think it's important for us to be prepared for that and have something on that list I shared with all of you. Have something that's low glycemic that you can have around, that you can eat during that time, that can keep your levels balanced. So it helps with those spikes, that you're not going to have those spikes of sugar or insulin. So some long-term effects, and all of this I'm going to break down in a few minutes. Addiction and craving. So repeated sugar consumption can lead to changes in the brain similar to those that are caused by addictive substances like cocaine and other alcohol, other addictive substances. It increases our dopamine levels, which are the feel-good levels in our brain, reinforcing the desire to consume more and more sugar. It can potentially lead to a cycle of craving and consumption. So I'm going to stop here for a second. Any carbohydrate that you eat that touches your tongue, it turns to sugar. So you may think sugar like candy or cane sugar, or it could even be cookies, cake. If you put a potato in your mouth, that immediately turns to sugar. If you put a piece of bread in your mouth, so think about that. The minute it touches your tongue, it turns to sugar. Cognitive decline. High sugar diets are linked to impaired cognitive function and memory and cognitive function and memory issues. Chronic high sugar intake can affect the hippocampus, a brain area crucial for the formation and retention, for memory formation and retention. Studies have shown that high sugar consumption can lead to reduced synaptic plasticity, which is essential for our learning and memory. Mood disorders, insulin resistance. I'm going to break this down more. I have so much here I want to share with you, but I don't want to go over on time. Neuroinflammation. So chronic inflammation in the brain is associated with various neurological disorders, including depression, which none of us think. Depression and anxiety is caused by eating sugar. We wouldn't normally think that, but if you know of anyone who's suffering, especially anxiety, ask them, are they eating a lot of sugar? Or watch what they're eating. And it's also a cause for Alzheimer's disease, which I will get into more. So brain structure changes, reduced brain volume. Studies have shown that high sugar consumption can lead to reduced brain volume in areas like the hippocampus. Altered neurotransmitter levels. So sugar impacts our neurotransmitter levels beyond dopamine, including serotonin and acetylcholine, which can affect our mood and our cognitive functions. Impact on children's brain, which I'm going to get into in more detail. In children, excessive sugar intake can lead to what? Exactly. Hyperactivity, ADHD, attention, different attention deficit disorders, learning difficulties. It can also set the foundation for long-term health issues. So it can start as a child, but children can end up obese. They can end up with metabolic syndrome. I can share another personal thing that has affected my family. My brother, as a child, and myself grew up in a family of dentists. So my father and my grandfather were dentists, and as a child, we were not allowed to have candy. I later learned in college that you never deprive a child of anything, you give it in moderation. So even during Halloween, we were only allowed to have nuts and raisins. Well, that is sad for a child, right? So what are we gonna crave? Candy. I fortunately was able to manage that. My brother unfortunately wasn't. He is about 500 pounds now and morbid and has diabetes. So sugar was a huge thing for him, but parents didn't know that then. So I'm not blaming them, but it's something to be aware of. Everything in moderation, which is what I always, tell people. And a little off track here, when I say everything in moderation, sugar is in everything we eat, sadly. So I do run both sugar and brain health programs, but in my sugar program, I have people who come who want to give up sugar altogether. I have people who come who want to take my program and just learn more how to be mindful of sugar. And then I have some people who do a little bit of giving up sugar. I have people who ask me, can I still have my alcoholic drink? That's a whole nother subject, but what I love to share on that is I say to my clients, is it all about the alcohol or is it about the fancy glass? Sometimes it's about the glass or who you're with. So I tell my clients to have kombucha in a glass. So it still makes them feel good. And I also tell people, a lot of us run home from work and we want that glass of wine. And what I love to suggest is sometimes we are hungry, not thirsty. So what I tell people when they walk in that door and they're ready to have that glass of wine, I say to them, why don't you have a tall glass of water and a handful of nuts and see how you feel after that. You may just be hungry and maybe a little dehydrated and you want that water. So some protective measures, which I'm going to go over at the end, is obviously to limit your sugar intake, particularly added sugars from processed foods, and that's something I'm going to go into a lot more. Maintain a balanced diet rich in whole foods like fruit, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats and proteins, which I'm going to break down today, and also staying physically active. Staying physically active, especially for the brain, it helps the blood flow in your body, so you get more blood flow to the brain. Exercise also helps regulate our blood sugar and, as I said, can definitely improve our brain health. So, now down to the nitty-gritty of today. I'm going to break all of this down. When I said about sugar and our foods today, the FDA is not honest with us, and so sugar is in every single thing we eat. So we can't fully give up sugar, but how can we make changes? Does anyone here want to share with me how you make changes with sugar, how you're more aware? Yes.
So I've always had a sugar tooth or sweet tooth and craving, but for me, when I eat fruit, it seems to take away that craving for for sugar, but I don't know if it's not just as bad. I know it's not just as bad, but it is also a concentrated sugar, so if you could speak to that, that would be helpful.
No, I would love to. So what's interesting is fruit is sugar, right? It's still sugar, it's a much more natural sugar. And I usually like to tell people to have 2 fruits a day if they can. I remember, Carol, one time, I'm gonna call you out on this, you had said, Bo, your husband, was eating tons and tons of grapes, I remember.
Still does.
He still does, okay. Well, a way to eat less than tons of grapes is put it in the freezer. It's something I do, you're not gonna eat as much of it. But you'd rather eat grapes than eat candy, right? So it's rare you're going to overdose and eat so much fruit. But I think it's good to be aware of whatever sugar you put in your mouth. I think it's important. But fruit, like you were saying, I think it's fine. I mean, we are mostly not going to overdose on fruit, and it's good for you. And I will get into that too. Some sugar is really good for us, and it is important to have that for energy and for different things. So I hope that helped, and I will go, yes.
Are there any levels that you would consider too much in terms of fruit?
With fruit, you know, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, to me, probably any more than 6 would be probably considered a lot, but it also depends on you, on your when you get your blood work, on your A1C, on your glucose level. So things like that would help determine more, I think. But you don't want to overdose on anything. So by keeping it in moderation, I think is good. But I think fruit is amazing for you. And you know, the sheets that I passed out on the on the glycemic index, you want to stick to fruits that are low glycemic. I'm not saying not to have the high glycemic. I know a friend of mine here said he eats all high glycemic stuff, but watermelon is so good. It's delicious. So it's okay to have that. So, and enjoy it. We're not going to overdose on that. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about sugar substitutes like stevia or monk?
Yeah, I'm gonna get into all of that too, and what's good and what's not good, and yes, but thank you for bringing that up too. And I can actually jump around a little bit because I have so much information. I'll actually start with that because I think that's a really good question. So there are certain types of sweeteners that are, and sugar substitutes that are more harmful to the brain than others. I want to focus, obviously, today more on the brain. So I think most of you know high fructose corn syrup is the worst that we can have. I had someone visit us this weekend, and you know, I was amazed at how much he knew. He is suffering from a bunch of different health issues, and he said to me, I try to stay away from tomato sauce on my pasta because it has sugar in it. Ketchup. So many people thought, oh, ketchup, it has tomatoes in it, it's great for you. It has high fructose corn syrup in it. So, you know, I'm going off track here from what your question was, but I